economic vitality. Those are the Soviet goals, and they just might add up to another revolution. There's no doubt, however, that the Soviet Union's going through some big changes right now. You can't find a better place to see these changes than on Soviet television. I'm Larry King. I'll take you through this night of Soviet television, showing you the best they've got. Movies, news, game shows, rock and roll, drama, documentaries, and sports. We talked to people on the street about TV. We met some of the young hot producers and directors who create the most popular programs. No doubt about it, the spirit of fun is growing. More pure entertainment. I think you'll feel the sense of excitement that the Soviet feels. On Larry King's Night of Soviet Television. Next. Standing in a long line to get something that we take for granted? Welcome to Larry King's Night of Soviet Television. I'm Larry King, and I have to warn you that your perceptions may be in for a shock. What you're going to see now is a completely different picture of the Soviet Union. The picture that shows them as they see themselves on their own television. Young and beautiful and spirited, confident, and even a little excited. This sample shows the growing liveliness of Soviet TV since Gorbachev came to power. You'll see much more of it later. But to understand what's happening, you gotta know where they're coming from.
На ветру шумят кусты, сохранить их должен ты.
Until very recently, the only thing they heard on their television was the stern voice of their authoritarian government speaking. Formal, colorless, manipulated, and censored. The voice of the Kremlin, government-owned, government-operated. There was a credibility gap that turned off millions of Soviet viewers. Today, Gorbachev and his advisors have great respect for the medium of television. The government understands finally that the old communist propaganda was just too crude, too self-serving. It didn't work.
Hey! Don't follow after us. We're not used to whispering.
With nothing to lose, they decided to try glasnost, Gorbachev's policy of openness. Let it all hang out. More live reporting, more points of view, more late-night television, and more programs that are just plain entertainment.
О, как воистину прекрасен старый добрый Рим! Старый Рим! Добрый Рим! Мы тут смеемся, то ликуем, только стригали! Вот это дела!
Television is getting better. Now it's many times better than it was. In Brezhnev times we had such a joke that man looking one program switched on and see Brezhnev in it. Then second program, the same Brezhnev. Third program, the same Brezhnev. He switched fourth program, there is sitting somebody in uniform saying, please switch first program back.
Когда к нам обратились следователи, так сказать, юридические генералы...
Karatich is a man the communists listen to. He is editor of Agoniak, the Soviet Union's hottest popular magazine, and he has the ear of Party Secretary Gorbachev. When Karatich speaks, people listen.
We must have normal television, interesting for our people, interesting for our viewers. That's only reason to have television, to collect people around it and to sell them ideas, your points of view.
Sounds like American TV, doesn't it? But it's not. They have only 3 channels and a local one. They don't compete. They're all government-owned, government-operated. and Soviet audiences are not afraid to say what they think about it.
I watch national television, but still I sense a sort of internal censoring in the programs.
If you look at the sheer number of opinions, variety of tastes, you have to agree that they need to be expressed freely over the air.
Now we have live coverage. Before they would shoot something and then take parts out. Took out the parts that didn't meet with their approval.
I like the programs where people discuss national difficulties. I'm very glad that we have the opportunity to discuss these kinds of questions now and can hope for a better future.
Готовит им Галина Васильевна.
Key to the future in the Soviet Union hinges on a bold new policy which they call perestroika, the restructuring of virtually everything, from Soviet politics to the agricultural bureaucracy. That explains why this documentary, True Man of the Soil, had such a great impact when it ran on Soviet TV.
What do we need all these organizations for? The best way is just the government and the people. That's it. Why should we feed all these bureaucrats? It's just extra expense.
You're putting yourself in the grave.
Each region has its own local television, reflecting the local cultures in startling ways, like this short movie from the Soviet Republic of Georgia, where there are few limits on the creative imagination.
Doesn't this tree deserve to live?
It's going.
Fresh air.
I think there should be more entertainment shows for young people, showing all those innovators and so on. It's for a very limited circle of viewers who can make sense out of it. The vast majority don't understand it.
Oh, what can I say? Sometimes the programs, I don't like them so much. In the evening, they show stuff that's not interesting to me at all. In the evening, we need music. People are tired after work. They come home. They need rest to have a quiet evening because everything is problems, 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 and now on TV also.
Music and problems. That's one of the prevalent formulas on today's Soviet television. In this case, marital problems.
Мама твоя нас весь день навещала.
Problems do make up the main course on the menu of Soviet TV programming, but they're trying to lighten it up. Younger producers are getting on the air now. Their shows have humor, new music, new graphics, and new concepts of what a program should be. Rock and roll in all its multifarious forms is the spice that keeps Soviets at their TV sets. They use music videos to break up program segments the way we use commercials. And since rock was born to bear a message, Russians usually take it quite seriously.
Personally, I like it when the young people from America perform, when they dance, and I like the American films, American jazz. I think that a lot has changed in television. I'm expecting more. I'm sure that those changes will come. I'm certain.
Soviet television is beginning to break out of the carefully controlled studio atmosphere to meet the people in the streets and to have a little fun. We will introduce you to the men and women who create the television that the Soviets watch.
On television in the Soviet Union,
To get closer to them, we went to the Soviet Union, worked with the producers and writers and directors.
Okay, Andre, we're going to start right now. You ready? Yes. Okay.
We used a video satellite link to interview some of the most interesting people in Soviet TV. One of their top rock stars. A woman whose documentary, Man of the Soil, helped shape the course of perestroika. 3 men who produce an alternative news program that young Soviet intellectuals love. And a correspondent for the most watched news program in the world. What's the biggest change in Soviet television, say, since Gorbachev?
Now we are telling our TV audience some positive things about the United States. So now we are more objective.
Before that, you were more subjective because they made you be more subjective?
Yes, of course, of course. You understand, being a journalist, that if you are not allowed to tell something and you tell it, then you say goodbye and go off.
Could you do a show in the Soviet Union where you could have guests on who criticize Gorbachev, criticize the system?
We really just try to show our TV audience that there are a lot of drawbacks in a lot of spheres in our life, in economical sphere and cultural sphere, in the way people live, in housing, and a lot of problems. So we cover all fields.
Are the people more appreciative of that, do you think?
Yes, because public is sick and tired of half tones, of telling truth and not telling truth.
Chernobyl as the Soviets saw it on their TV. It's Vremya, the Soviet Union's nightly 9 o'clock news. It's true that Vremya is the only program on at 9 o'clock. Fact is, the Soviets love their TV news. And now that it's a little less censored, a little speedier, and has more live coverage, they like it even more.
What to do with the F-16?
Report from Spain and Belgium.
And the blockade.
Afghanistan, what happened?
It reaches 9/10 of the Soviet population, including that part which does not read Russian. It's the spearhead for getting across the concepts of perestroika and glasnost, restructuring and openness. These are revolutionary ideas central to the survival of the Gorbachev government. This is how the Soviets start their day now, 120 minutes. One of the most popular of the news programs, a news and chat show with a lot of personality. It's a huge change from the period of stagnation under Brezhnev, and while many of the changes are cosmetic, the most important ones have been in news. Television insiders like Sasha Krutov still marvel at it.
Today, you can hear things on television that just 5 years ago would have been spoken only in whispers, spoken in private. And those words, those ideas that you hear every day on TV now would have labeled you a dissident then.
Before the current policy of openness, glasnost in Russian, the news that TV viewers got had been processed to death. The government thought it could manage anything. But then, in 1986, came Chernobyl, a Soviet nuclear explosion which blew the lid off government control, hopefully forever. Radioactive fallout was poisoning half the Western world, and the Soviet government was trying to deny it. Glasnost was becoming a joke. Suddenly, everything changed. Sasha Krutov tells about it.
Chernobyl was like a test both for society and for the press. It was a test of all the principles we'd been proclaiming, the principles of perestroika and glasnost. I arrived in Chernobyl 1 week after the explosion, after the tragedy, and my first impression was of a kind of unreality. Unfortunately, information about Chernobyl was very minimal at first. It was basically dry official reports. That's why all the rumors.